It was probably about 2:30 a.m. on New Year's Day. Protocol normally would be she and I would spend the night with one another for safety purposes, especially when I had to travel to my home alone. But the next day I wanted to cook for New Year's, so I told her I'd take her home, and I proceeded to my apartment. T was the boyfriend of a girl that I went to high school with. And I knew her rather well, but I didn't know him as well. But because of their relationship, we were neighborly. His car parked next to mine. I spoke to him and I said, "Hello, T. What'd you do tonight?" He spoke back and said hello, told me that he didn't do much of anything. And it was vague conversation, but by the time I reached my stairwell, he had walked up behind me and I didn't realize it. And I let him know that he had, kind of scared me a little bit. And he told me at that time that he had been locked out and he wanted to use my telephone. And at that time, I told him okay, and we proceeded up the stairwell to my apartment. I remember him being somewhat agitated when he went to use the phone, and I believed I just kind of assumed it was because he was locked out, which is what he told me. And so the first two attempts again was like he was dialing the wrong number. And then the third time, he just held the phone to his ear, and I could just hear it ringing. And so he gave up on the call and handed it over to me. But when he sat down next to me, I thought maybe he thought he was welcome to stay until he could get in the house. And so I was a little nervous with what his assumption was. Before I got a chance to ask him what else I could help him with, he took his fist and he struck me in my face. My reaction was shock. And so I'm looking at him like, "T, what's going on? Why are you doing this?" I turned to fend him off with both hands and realized that I still had the phone in my hand. And at that time, I hit the talk button, just started aiming in the direction of 911, hoping that I was hitting the numbers, but lost control of it during the struggle. So as I turned around to fend him off with both hands, I noticed a sharp edge coming towards my face. And so I grabbed him by his wrist. And at that time, this sharp edge punctures me right in my face, and then my whole face is open from here to here, and blood is everywhere. I don't realize what I'm being stabbed with, but I notice that he continuously tries to use the object, and we're struggling, and my face is just mangled. So it's cold, and I know that there's blood and there's flesh, and I'm just fighting him and trying to fend him off. I was screaming and I was praying. He just kept telling me to shut up and die. There's just pain in the side of my head where he's starting to hit me in the side of my ear. I'm not sure if he's still using the object, but I just know that he's hitting me in the side of my head. I'm regurgitating blood and things are just going everywhere, and I'm trying to run. And so came to mind play dead, which is something that I've always kind of kept consciously in mind if I were ever in a situation where blood was involved. So at that time, I was like, I just need to get him to think that I'm out of here and he can leave. And I noticed that there was a pool of blood right in the middle of the floor. So I just threw myself down in it and decided to try to slow my breathing pace down. And I had more energy than a raging bull, but I didn't want him to think that I could move or do anything. I really wanted him to think I was fully incapacitated. I noticed that he walked around the room, and rather than him leave, he got down on the floor with me, and he took my pants and he moved them from my waist to my knees. And I noticed that he leaned back and took his pants apart and started to disrobe as well and prep himself as if he was going to try and rape me. I got really nervous, and rather than me continue to keep quiet, I screamed out, "Jesus, please help me." As soon as I said that, he took the same object and he hit me in the side of my head as hard as he could. Didn't feel any pain, just knew that it was something really bad, and I just was very cold, very uncomfortable. And I said, "Oh God, this is it." So at that point, I'm thinking, I'm not gonna make it. And I started thinking about my son at the time, who was 4 years old, and he was at my mom's that night. He didn't come home with me, and I didn't pick him up, so I was glad he wasn't there, but that was my hope in living, and I kept praying, God, if you can just leave me here for my baby, I'll be fine. And all I could think of was him at the time, so I continued to just pray and was hoping that he would stop. And as I was praying, I could hear sirens, and I said, oh, God, please let someone be coming to help me, but I never said another word. He jumped up and went to the door, and there was kind of a struggle between him trying to keep the door closed and the police officer trying to enter. And I'm like, somebody's got to know I'm in here. So I'm screaming, and the door finally gives. And I just got up and ran to my neighbor's door that was across the hall. And when she opened, she just kind of looked at me like this and was like, oh my God, what happened to you? And then she had a friend spending the night with her that night. And when she came to the door, she just started screaming. She has a pair of scissors in her head. When the scissors went in, they went into my left ear canal, and they exited behind my right earlobe. And the point was here, whereas the actual handle was here. Based upon what I was told, there may have been a total of maybe 15 stab wounds from my face area to my ear canal and in my chest area. The only permanent damage that I have right now is just the limpness in my eyelid. Other than that, I see fine, I hear fine. There's no repercussions from a physical perspective at all. I survived because I believe that God has another purpose for me. I believe that my prayer of raising my son came to fruition, and because of my will to live, that's why I survived.